Hey guys, I am the Comics Kid 2099, and I am here to review / talk a little bit about a graphic novel, Superman, Exile. Can you see that? That's Superman flying away from planet Earth. A little bit of backstory for this book. At the end of John Byrne's run on Superman, John Byrne started his run around 1986. I don't remember exactly when he left the franchise, but when he did, he had Superman kill 3 Kryptonian supervillains from a parallel dimension. And that's essentially what you need to know going into this. Now, this is not an immediate follow-up to John Byrne's run. There were a few things that happened after Byrne's run and before this that kind of sets the stage, if you will. There are a few more moments, a few more adventures, if you will, where Superman feels like he almost lost control, and then he decides, I cannot be trusted around the people of Earth. I have to get myself far away so that I can atone for what I've done and I don't become a danger to anyone else. And so for about 12 or 13 issues, this is a pretty big trade as you can see, Superman is kind of going through this self-imposed exile. While all of that is going on, we are getting these constant little flashes of what's going on Earth. We're getting a little bit of Pa and Ma Kent. Sometime before this story, Superman met a shape-shifting alien called Matrix. And if you are a little bit familiar with the Superman comics from the 90s, you know that this shape-shifting alien eventually becomes the 1990s version of the character Supergirl. But this is before that character becomes Supergirl. It's just a weird, kind of odd-looking creature living with Ma and Pa Kent. And then you're also getting to see Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White. You're getting to see how Clark Kent and Superman's absence is affecting these people. In a similar way that you get to see the same thing in the Death of Superman. During the World Without a Superman portion of that series of stories from the 90s, you got to see, okay, this is what Lois Lane is like without the effect of Superman and Clark Kent in her life, etc. And you get to see that kind of for all of Metropolis a little bit. And I will go ahead and say the parts of the book that are the most interesting to me are the parts on Earth. When you get to see Ma and Pa Kent, and they are trying to cover for Clark Kent's absence. They know that Clark is still alive. At one point, this is a minor spoiler that happens fairly early in this book, so if you are interested in reading this book and you haven't, I am going to spoil something from the very beginning of the book. There is a private investigator who this lady has hired to investigate Clark Kent. We find out at one point in the book that this woman believes that Clark Kent is Superman, so she wants this guy to figure out if that is true. Well, this private investigator just happens to look exactly like Clark Kent, just with a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow. And Clark Kent, before disappearing from planet Earth, he wrote an expose on Intergang, and he connected them to Galaxy Broadcasting, run by Morgan Edge. So Intergang is then sent to kill Clark Kent. They kill this guy who's breaking into Clark Kent's apartment. It's the private investigator. They think he's Clark Kent. They kill this guy. So for about 75% of this book, everyone on Earth believes that Clark Kent is dead. And Ma and Pa Kent, they know that this is of course not true. They know that their son has gone out into outer space. But they can't say, our son is fine, don't worry about it. A lot of neat stuff going on Earth. Unfortunately, that is not the majority of this book. Most of this book is Superman in outer space. I have to say, that is what really slows down this whole book for me. It took me probably about a week to finish reading this. It really shouldn't have. I know it's 13 issues, so it's not going to be a very fast read, but Superman in outer space shouldn't be as boring as it is. I'm not even kidding. It takes about 6 issues for stuff to actually start happening with Superman in space. One issue, he comes to this world and he says, yeah, it looks like I could live here. Nobody lives here, and it looks exactly like planet Earth. And then a giant rainstorm happens and it floods the entire planet. And he says, well, I guess I gotta go somewhere else. And it's stuff like that. Superman will do something, and then at the end of that issue, you realize that nothing really happened. Something happened, but it wasn't really important. And it's just kind of filler kind of filling out space until you get to around halfway into the book. And then Superman is captured by Mongol. If you you probably know who Mongol is. He has an entire planet that is like a gladiator arena for aliens to fight and kill each other. And this story, I've seen it before. I saw a variation of this story in Justice League, and it's basically the same thing. Superman gets captured, he fights this guy named Draga, and then Mongol gets dethroned, if you will. That's a spoiler for this book, sorry. But Mongol is a somewhat notable Superman character. I think he's a Superman character. What's interesting is I'm pretty sure Mongol appeared before Crisis on Infinite Earths in the Alan Moore story For the Man Who Has Everything. I believe Mongol was the villain in that story, but everything here seems to indicate that Superman is meeting Mongol for the first time. And if you know a little bit about DC Comics, you know that after Crisis on Infinite Earths, DC kind of rebooted everything, so a lot of characters who had met before Crisis had no longer met as per the new timeline laid down by Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this book, just that Superman is probably one of the least interesting parts of this book. I really wish that the stuff on Warworld with Mongol, I really wish that could have happened earlier, or it could have taken up more of the Superman in space stuff. Instead, it doesn't take up as much room as it probably needs. Also, I wish that we could have had more of the stuff with Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane. I wish we could have seen more of them on Earth than what we got. It's not a bad read. It's pretty fun once you get about halfway into it. I didn't even know this existed until I saw it in a bookstore a few months ago, and then I finally got around to reading it within the last week, and I enjoyed it okay. So if you are in a Superman mood, you might want to check this out. If you saw the Man of Steel movie, spoilers for the Man of Steel movie, but you probably heard that everyone is getting in a tizzy that Superman kills somebody in the Man of Steel movie. So if you are questioning that, if you're not really sure where you stand, maybe it's okay that Superman killed someone, maybe it's not, you might want to read this. This kind of puts that into perspective. A lot of people after the Man of Steel movie were saying, well, it's okay because in John Byrne's run, Superman killed 3 Phantom Zone criminals. They weren't really from the Phantom Zone, but they were similar to the Phantom Zone criminals from the original Richard Donner movies. So if you are kind of on the fence about Superman killing and you want to kind of form your opinion, but you don't know where to go, well, this might be something you want to check out and see, oh, okay, so that's what happened. I'm still in a Superman mood, so this wasn't a bad book by any means. I guess you could say at the end of the day, I'm just kind of lukewarm on it. That is my thoughts on this book, and until then, I am going to go out into outer space for about a year. I will see you guys next time. Have a good day.